Joining us now here at WCA-TV studio once again is Veteran Services Officer Patrick George. Veterans Day is coming up, so some good things to talk about. A new project going on with between the Veterans Services Department and the Mosesian Center for the Arts. So I guess first of all, before we get into that too much, how are things going at the Department of Veteran Services? And is there you're wearing two hats still as the Director of Senior Services. So I don't know, just kind of how have things been going lately with the Veterans Office?
Good, Dan, thanks. Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. And the Veteran Services is always busy sort of year round. We have seen an increase in services or services requested, primarily because of a big piece of legislation at the federal level called the VA PAC Act. That has sort of expanded services for veterans who suffer from ailments related to Agent Orange, and has sort of opened up a legal remedy for individuals who may be served at Camp Lejeune from about 1953 to 1987. A lot of the phone calls on Camp Lejeune are more so related to a lawsuit. However, that doesn't, that opens a door for us to talk to them about services they might be eligible for at the VA level. All that's to say, these are things that veterans and families have unfortunately endured and are eligible for, and where the Veteran Services Office is happy to help out those individuals as they look for the benefits that they're entitled to.
Yeah, great work that you guys do over there. So it's good to see that you're getting in touch with more veterans and helping more veterans in town. So coming up in a couple weeks, or not even a couple weeks, less than 2 weeks, is Veterans Day, but kind of going on for the next couple of weeks, starting on November 2nd, is going to be a public art project. And I'm wondering, can you kind of tell us what's going on between the Department of Veteran Services and the Mosesian Center for the Arts?
Yeah, absolutely. So this actually comes from an effort that I've made and have noticed when trying to share information to veterans, for veterans. Sometimes the best way to reach them is to reach their family members, to reach their friends, and to reach everyone. And sort of it started with a project, everyone knowing a veteran. And so that's what we're doing. We're encouraging everyone who lives in Watertown, works in Watertown, used to call Watertown home, to sort of share that information and identify the veterans in your life. And this isn't a limit to one person. If you've got a family with military history, please come down and identify them all. So what we're going to ask, what we're asking everyone to do is from November 2nd to November 16th is to stop by the Mosesian Center and to take a dog tag, write that veteran's name. If you have a story you want to share, if you have a picture you would like to share, you're more than welcome to do that as well. And there's going to be a wall display that you can sort of participate in and add the dog tags that of the individuals that there. The project sort of evolved. Initially, it was kind of an idea about lawn signs, but I didn't want to confuse anyone, especially in November during an election season. And so once the Arts and Culture Committee planner, Liz Heffler, had reached out to me, we had set up a time to sort of meet with the Mosesian Center, and we just thought it was a perfect partnership, and it's worked out, and we're really excited about having this project here, this year, and see what other partnerships we can have in the future.
But can you kind of describe what kind of art display it is, describe the wall and kind of what it's going to look like?
Yeah, so as soon as you walk into the Mosesian Center, you're going to go to the left, and there's going to be a poster board that sort of gives you the same spiel that I just gave about who to identify, how to identify them, what you can write, and you're going to be presented with the dog tags there, and it's going to be about the size of a piece of paper. So it gives you a lot of space to to identify the veterans and share any of that information and make sure it's written nice and legibly, so that as people come in and see this wall growing, they see more and more veterans that have ties to Watertown going forward up until, so the display itself is going to be available until November 16th, but we are going to do a commemoration on Veterans Day at 9 a.m. And Veterans Day is going to be November 11th, which is going to be a Friday this year.
And so after the 16th, does the display, is it going to come down? Is it going to be moved somewhere? What's the plan after the 16th?
So the display is going to come down. We'll make sure that we hold those, for historical purposes, and see if there's a full-time location for it in the future. It really depends on how many we get, and sort of determine where they're going to go. But we're certainly going to keep them. And if family members want to bring their take the dog tags home after the 16th, they're more than welcome to do that as well if they'd like to keep the memento.
You said there's going to be a ceremony the morning of Veterans Day to commemorate it?
Yep. So on Veterans Day, we're going to have a brief ceremony at 9 a.m. at the Mosesian Center to sort of acknowledge the wall and see how many people are there. And I think that'll probably give a lot of people an opportunity then and there to also fill out dog tags if they maybe hadn't had an opportunity prior. And then the display itself is going to come down on the 16th. So after, between the 11th and the 16th, we'll be sure to document the wall in sort of its final state before we take anything down.
Excellent. And then a little bit later, the morning of Veterans Day, always a great ceremony.
Yep.
That happens in Watertown every year. Can you just remind the people kind of
Absolutely.
What's going on?
So we're going to have our annual Veterans Day breakfast at the Shutt Detachment, which is at 215 Mount Auburn Street at 11 a.m. We're excited and looking forward to that every year. It's always a good opportunity to get veterans out, and we're about 2 years removed from the pandemic now, and I think as you're seeing, more and more people are coming out, and so I think it's going to be a good year to have everyone out again and see people for the first time in a couple of years. Absolutely.
So November 2nd to November 16th, residents can go and fill out dog tags down at the Veterans Public Art Display. Really a wonderful new thing that I think you and the Missessian have done here. Is there anything else, any final thoughts that you want to share, anything that we didn't get to talk about that you want to leave us with before we wrap up here?
No, I don't think so. I just, we're excited to evolve with how we celebrate veteran holidays and holidays in general, and we're hopeful that this is going to be a new piece or a new facet of how we observe the holiday in the future, and we're just looking forward to it.
All right, Veteran Services Officer Patrick George. Patrick, thanks so much for coming in. Good to have you back in the studio. First time, I think, since you took the job that you've actually been here at the station.
Thanks, Dan.
So thanks so much for coming in, and we'll be sure to chronicle this project over the next 2 weeks. So you'll get to see all the different video and images of this great new project. So Patrick, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.